In this video, we're going to be breaking down this really awesome and clever adjustable shade that goes from a privacy screen to a outdoor canopy for a patio. And this is really awesome, and this comes from Lance. And we're going to break down, talk about the different connectors and the different things if in case you want to recreate this or utilize the techniques in something else that you're making. This is really cool. In this first picture here from Lance, we can see that he's got a length or kind of the dimensions of the porch, of the shade, and of the conduit. So if you guys want to recreate this exact thing, you can take this little list here and figure out exactly what you need for the dimensions there, which is really cool. But you can also customize this really easily to fit whatever space you're working with. If you've got a patio or something similar that you want to recreate this same shade, you can use a handheld pipe and tube cutter, customize the dimensions of the conduit, and then you can use the same connectors and kind of achieve the same thing. You will just, customize the dimensions and everything. So that's really cool, Lance. Thanks for sharing that first picture with us. And we'll go through here and just kind of break this down. And first, we got a picture of the frame here that he was kind of utilizing and showing to make sure that the hinge functionality worked. And here we can see the frame in place. Again, just a few connectors really to make this frame, and we'll kind of talk about the connectors and everything here in a moment. Just wanted to kind of go through briefly, check out all the photos and all the pictures and everything. And then here it is in kind of privacy mode, where you can sit behind this, as you can imagine, and then have this shade and this privacy screen here. And then you can, of course, fold this out, and then you've got canopy mode here, which is really cool. You can kind of sit underneath this, have shade, and also just have a nice sitting area underneath, which is really awesome and just a really great project and really clever. It doesn't utilize a ton of materials, but is just really awesome nonetheless. So let's go back to the beginning here, and we'll just kind of break down this framework. And here, let's use this. Let's see which photo. Let's use this photo. I think this will be good to break it down. So really, the main part of this frame and the functionality that kind of makes this kind of project possible is the adjustable angle flange from MakerPipe, which are these three connectors here. And there's one over here too. The way those work, there's a flat round base that you can secure to a flat surface. There's 6 screw holes, so you can secure them, to a flat surface like this eave here. And then there's a piece that we call the end clamp that comes out of that. And that is this piece here. And you can adjust that. And so if you want to achieve an angle, you can kind of achieve that angle and then, tighten it completely to lock it in place. Or if you leave it loose, you can create a hinge, which is exactly what he's done here to create this. And that's how he achieved this clever functionality. And all the connectors that we manufacture are in upstate South Carolina. We make them so you don't have to weld. You just use a 5mm hex wrench to put them together. And all of our connectors are designed to work with 3/4 inch electrical conduit, which is this steel tubing that you see here. And you can get this off the shelf locally at places like Home Depot, True Value, Lowe's, different hardware and home improvement stores. And that's all you really need to put these kind of projects together. Just a few hand tools and then those materials. And essentially the 3 pieces of conduit coming out of that, we can see here, we'll mark here with blue. So they come out of that connector and they go all the way down. And he basically customized these dimensions to fit in this rectangular opening here on the patio perfectly. And he's just got those verticals that go down. Then in the corners, he's using the MakerPipe T connectors down here. And these function as elbows here. And he's just using those on the edge to make those 90-degree elbows. And the T connector is among the most popular, if not the most popular, and it just joins 2 pieces of conduit together. And a lot of people don't realize you can use that flush with the end to create elbows, as he did here. And that's essentially how he grabbed on and kind of made this rectangle, this 2-dimensional rectangle here. And then he used that same T connector halfway up the frame as well to add this cross support that is just adding more support to the sunshade and to the framework. So he's got those T connectors, and then I believe this connector here is also a T connector, just flipped over and used in the middle of the span instead of on the edge here to make the elbow. So that's really cool and nice and simple. And then essentially you just have this horizontal piece of conduit going from one side of the other, just connected in the top part of the the bottom part of the T connector on this one, going all the way across, running continuously through that T connector, and then into the T connector on the other side. And then here in the middle, we've got this horizontal piece of conduit that is attaching here, terminating inside the connector, going all the way across, and then terminating there. And then it looks like he used the MakerPipe 180-degree connector in the middle here to create this X shape. And essentially, I believe, let's erase a little bit here, and we'll see which ones. Okay, so I actually had it incorrect. So the blue piece of conduit is the one that's running continuously through it, but because you don't have to drill through the connectors or weld, that means that the connectors on two of these sides are going to turn, or the conduit is going to terminate inside of the connector. So these two pieces here that are coming into the 180, those are terminating, and then this blue piece is running continuously through it. So there's a little bit of space in between the piece of conduit going through and the two that are terminating on each side. But the 180-degree connector allows you to join those three pieces of conduit together and create this X shape. And guess what? That's pretty much the frame, exactly how you need to make this to be able to hinge this rectangle up into the air. And then kind of the last thing that goes along with this is we can see once this is in canopy mode, he's got two legs here that extend down to the ground. Now, we don't see exactly if he folds these up into the frame. You could do that. You could just loosely tighten the T-connector to kind of stay in place on the piece of conduit, and then you could rotate those T-connectors up and kind of rotate that into the frame, or you could just leave the T-connectors attached to the frame at all times, slightly loosen it, and then take those poles out and put them somewhere else in the meantime whenever you're storing it, whenever you have it in privacy mode. We don't know exactly how he does it. It looks like he probably just leaves the T-connectors on and then just loosens them to hinge it up, and then that keeps all the pipes together. You don't have to take anything apart, and just nice and simple to do that. But here it is again in canopy mode, which looks awesome. Looks like a great place to sit under and relax here. And then here we've got a close-up. We might as well look at the sunshade he's got attached to the frame. And he essentially made it where the sunshade kind of overlaps the frame. And then he's got these conduit cover clips that snap on top of the material to secure it to the conduit frame. We've also seen people who make the sunshade where it's got a couple of inches of gap between the sunshade and the frame. And then if it has grommets, you can use things like ball bungees or zip ties, different things to secure that sunshade in place. But he used the conduit cover clips that we have on the website to secure the sunshade, and that's how that is secured there, which looks awesome. Here it is again in privacy mode where it's just folded down and just looks really awesome, really functional and not too complicated to achieve, and just a really awesome project all around. So thanks so much, Lance, for sharing this. Thanks for sharing all the details and all these pictures. Really awesome to see, and hopefully you guys found this helpful. If you did, leave a like and consider subscribing. If you have any questions or comments, leave those down below. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you in the next one.